Well, good Monday afternoon. Hope you've had a great day. A lot of little quick hits today. There's a lot of little things that have struck me during the day, and some thoughts on them. Volcano in Iceland. I'm not even going to try to pronounce its horrendously long and convoluted name. Shut down air traffic for the most part in Europe for the better part of the last 5 days. They thought they were going to get a handle on it. Today, it started firing back up again. The eruptions got stronger. But that wasn't the point that got me. Apparently, there are 2 additional volcanoes very nearby there that are also becoming active. One of them, Mount Katla, is approximately 8 times bigger than the one that's spewing now. One of its volcanic eruptions, and it goes off about every 40 to 80 years, and it's due. And it often goes after this particular volcano that's erupting now goes, so they're connected. It's happened at least 3 times on record. One goes, then the other. 8 times bigger. Last time it erupted, had a major eruption. Not just a venting. It threw up enough stuff into the air that the subsequent winter, the Mississippi River in New Orleans froze over. That's a little colder. Mother Nature correcting things, I guess, a little bit. So, what are the repercussions of that if you think about it? If you shut down air travel, they're saying that one would shut down air travel through Europe for weeks. So let's say it's 5 to 6 weeks. No one can fly in or out of Europe for 5 to 6 weeks. All travel has to be on the ground. No more just-in-time shipments, no more overnight packages. Food and other goods has to come in by ground. All the stuff that they would normally buy from China would have to come an overland route. At least overland as far as, say, maybe Egypt, maybe Israel. If you're going to buy from China, you're going to take it basically to the edge of the Mediterranean and take it up there if it doesn't foul things farther south and east. That would be pretty significant. We would not be able to necessarily get cheap goods, at least not from Europe. Those things that we prize from Europe would become much more expensive because we couldn't get them here quickly. We might have to be paying more for goods from our own country. Is that a bad thing? Maybe, maybe not. If we have to pay more for goods here, we might actually, help our economy a little bit, because if we pay more for goods, that's more money that's going to go back into our own economy. Who knows? Maybe a volcano is what it needs to turn things around. Just a thought. What else? Yes, the Second Amendment March was supposed to go today. That's where they were going to get thousands of people to show up and march in Washington, D.C. to protest their guns being taken away. They're not being taken away, by the way. Part of what they're protesting is a law in Washington, D.C. that basically just strengthens some of the gun laws. If you have a legal gun, you're allowed to have it. License it, you're done. But they want to take assault rifles off, and they want to have, better databases for tracking things. But they want to protest that. Okay, they have the right to protest. I'm totally okay with that. And they were going to raise $50,000 to pay for all the expenses. Their cause is so popular that they raised $15,000. They didn't hit even a third of what they were looking for. Apparently they're not as much as activists as they are talkers. Of course, then if the whole issue was that the Second Amendment march was going on in Washington, D.C., and they were getting smeared with the guys who were going to West Virginia, or Virginia, one of the two, to have their arms rally, where they were going to take guns, because it is legal to carry them there. They were going to be armed and going to have this rally for Second Amendment rights. It's amazing to watch them make the argument. I actually looked on some of these websites to see what the discussion was. I believe you should have guns within reason. And there are a number of people who believe that, like I do. You should have a gun, be able to have a gun for protection if you're willing to license it, say, yes, I have it, here it is. I think you should have training in it. I think that should be mandatory, that you pass a class on how to handle a gun. Pretty stupid to sell someone a gun who's never fired one. But once we get that done, it should be okay. But do you need an AK-47? Do you need an Uzi? Do you need an AR-15? One argument I saw was, well, an Uzi is no better than 9mm. It's a pretty wimpy gun. Yeah, except that it has an incredible appetite for ammunition, and if you hit somebody enough times with it, it will have the same effect. That's the whole point. As you spray it, it's indiscriminate, it's light, and it can be sprayed. It's not a precision weapon. Who else is going to be in the line of fire of that? Do you need that kind of a weapon? You want to own a Magnum? You want to own a 45? You want to own a 38? All of those have stopping power. You want to own one of those guns? You should be allowed to with proper training and licensing. I have no problem with that. But there are some weapons that are just unnecessary. What, you need an assault rifle to go hunting? Really? Come on. And so they argue that the problem is they say, again, when someone says, do you really need an Uzi? Well, an Uzi is not much of a weapon. It's not the argument. They don't have an argument about whether an Uzi is an appropriate weapon for what they want to do, which is, they say, protect themselves or to hunt. An Uzi, by their own admission, is a lousy gun for either of them. And yet they want to be able to own it. The worst thing about it is, these laws were all voted in democratically. People voted for these. The people who live in the jurisdictions voted for these laws. And now the argument is, oh, yeah, we don't want to do that. Just silly. So, and of course, the other thing that was pretty nuts about this is that it's the day of the Oklahoma City bombings. It's the 15th anniversary. And that's the day they want to say, this is the day we stand up for our rights and we're going to be armed. Because they want to have an armed militia, because they want to protect themselves against a government that's going to take their weapons. Just a little crazy. But hey. Well, that's my rant for today. Stay away from volcanoes. Don't march on DC with guns. Don't get an Uzi for, hunting purposes. Fairly simple stuff. That's all I asked today. Just fairly simple stuff. I hope, once again, you've had a great day. And we'll talk to you tomorrow.